Hey, what's up, everybody? Get going here. All right. I'm honored, Construct. Illilit, hello. Welcome to the stream. Construct, it's like I'm there. It's like, hey, no, don't put that over there. You forgot something in the bag. Wait, what about? I can't believe you buy that. It's like a. I can imagine. You monster. Exactly. All right, the Case of the Writhing Cottage, a one-shot and drop-in adventure for low-level play. This adventure is designed for a group of players from levels 1 to 3, either as a standalone one-shot or as an early adventure dropped into a larger campaign. During this adventure, your players will attempt to track down a missing family of zoologists, fight off a cottage of curious creatures run amok, even or capture them if your players will, if they choose to, is fine. Piece together the events that led to each member of the family disappearing, find a hidden cellar after being eaten by a living staircase, identify a mysterious substance that can teleport the party to far-flung corners of the world, and ultimately discover that the missing family members travel to the Feywild, where the party can then choose to follow. At the end of this adventure, there will be loose story threads that you can use to run more adventures with your players. See after the adventure for a list of ideas for where the adventure can go next. I don't think anything about the outline has really changed. Yeah, I can't. Hey, Jesse. Who knows how many? It's not like a. I guess that's kind of redundant, right? Like, obviously. No, absolutely not. You're right. Let me just take away the slash. No deadline. Well, I mean, the deadline is hardly stream related. Doesn't do me any good to release a product that's not good, right? The story so far. The Goodwin family and their weird little cottage home are at the center of this adventure. Cyril Goodwin. How about... Shouldn't you circle back next week? Content. I can't watch my stream because of the difference in time zone. Yeah, definitely. I would love to. Hopefully, at some point, I can do that. Then you just get sick of me. It is made up of father. Of course. Thanks for saying such kind things. I love hearing that. Glad it works. I'm glad it's useful time spent. Family is made up of father, Cyril Goodwin, mother, and daughter. Okay, let's try that. Was it similar to which will be afternoon for you? Yeah, sometimes, whenever I can. It's true. It's true. Family's made up of father and over the last 10 years, one Goodwin after the other. Naturally, Jesse, that makes total sense. That no further explanation is needed for that one. For the last 10 years. Total shill. Jesse's my alt account, guys. I'm shocked you guys have never noticed me like tapping away over here on the side. I guess I use my feet. They're all pre-typed. One by one. Last 10 years. By one. The last 10. By one each. Yeah, I mean, my ultimate goal, like, as I am able to spend more time, doing this stuff that I love to do, I'll certainly, like, this afternoon stream would be much more akin to, like, an all-day work stream, assuming that I'm working on stuff that I can stream, which is mostly the case. That would be pretty interesting, or really excruciatingly boring, depending on who you are. I think 10 years ago, Cyril vanishes. Don't think that is necessary at all, actually. Because but instead the Goodwins are a family of curious nature researchers. They and their Curious nature researchers. Top chat'll get ya. Your question. I don't see a question. Construct, sorry. Unless it was... The last thing I saw you put in was top chat. You said, damn you, top chat. You said, Sassy Ryan goes his alt account. Nothing about a question. I like Lord of the Rings. I'm probably more inspired. Like I like Lord of the Rings, and I find like fantasy stories in general can certainly be inspiring. But my background, like I didn't really come up being like super into all of that. My background, the stuff that excites me in terms of fiction, is more kind of adventure. Sci-fi, horror, like fantasy isn't necessarily like probably even my top 3. Like when I look at stuff that's really formative for me, as a kid, like Goosebumps books, I love like the Twilight Zone, Indiana Jones, Back to the Future. That's what I think most informs how I think about stories and stuff. Bruce is unhappy because Crane is in the bed. Rare Bruce sighting. Construct, your question was, am I releasing on platforms like Itch or Drive-Thru or only on my website? My plan is to release it everywhere, and with the idea that eventually I'll pare down wherever I think is not useful. But my approach is really like, where are the people? Where do people find stuff? I don't see any reason not to put my stuff every which place. The goal initially is just to get kind of exposure and use the platforms to whatever extent I can. I'm not sure right now whether that's going to matter as much as finding ways to like beneficially, constructively talk about what I've made. By that I mean I'm not interested in making like commercials and stuff, but to the extent that I can relate pieces of what I've made or find ways to drop in links and mentions and things like that, we'll just see. Part of the reason that I would hit up everywhere, TikTok Shop, which is such a pain in the butt. TikTok is not the best in terms of platforms to try to work through with all that stuff. But yeah, I won't you know, early on is I'm not the last thing I'm going to be, because most of the time people like, I'm not so concerned about like, it's got to be through my website or anything like that. I know. Yeah. I get a good dose from him. I don't really care where people find my stuff. And, you know, if I'm selling something for $5 or $10, like at the beginning, the last thing I'm going to be worried about is like, ooh, where's my, how much do I have to give to whatever platform I'm selling on? It's like, look, it costs money to sell stuff on Shopify. It costs money to put stuff on all these platforms. They're going to take a cut. It's all just at the beginning, none of it matters, right? It's only in the long run. And I'd rather learn, you know, spend a year or two learning about all those different systems, and then I'm sure I'll pare it down eventually, because some of it just won't be worthwhile. Hey, Kenobi One. If it turns out that maintaining an itch.io or what's the other, drive-through RPG or something, like if it turns out maintaining that stuff is a pain in the butt, then I just won't do it. But gotta find out first. Charlotte and Serena have worked together for years exploring. My Chessex yellow Dungeon Master dice. Those are the dice that I only use when I'm running a game. Stole that idea from Runehammer, from Brandish Gilhelm, whatever name you want to use. What I like about the yellow black numbers on yellow dice is that it's super readable. And at the end of the day, I'm not actually really like a dice person. I just want to I don't want to have to like take a second with each dice. I just want to roll it and get what I need. That's interesting, Kenobi One. Peaceful, sure. So the interesting thing about that idea, Kenobi One, is that a lich, like by nature, a lich is someone who values themselves over, you know, other life generally, right? And that sort of moral, upside down moral system really just continues to work for a lich, continues to make them more powerful, which continues to make it easier for them to subjugate life for their own benefit. And I think what would be I'd be really curious about is what's the character quirk that allows that lich to create any sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. You know, I'm not saying that it wouldn't work. I'm saying that to me is the interesting hook in that idea. You said a lich that has a deal with a town. She gets souls so she doesn't burn the place, which then adds complexity to killing her. The question is, why? Why would she do that? Why wouldn't she just take whatever she wants? Is it because the lich is lazy? Is it because the lich is has a particular like I'm trying to imagine the type of ego maybe where it's like bring almost acting as a sort of like a lord over the people type of thing, because otherwise, what else is the Lich getting out of the arrangement? Because the Lich probably doesn't need to do that, right? The Lich could probably manage on their own. So there must be something else about it, and I think that would be really interesting. Okay, so maybe it's about additional power or something like that, social influence. Yeah. The Goodwins are a small family of nature researchers, and their weird little cottage home is at the center and it's their weird little cottage home at the center of this adventure. Charlotte and Sarah Goodwin have worked together for years, exploring the far corners of the world to identify strange and unknown creatures. Together, they had a young girl named Violet who grew up to be just as curious as the two of them put together. And one by one, each member of the Goodwin family has gone missing. It all started 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Cyril vanishes. On the eve of her 10th birthday party, Violet's curiosity led to a terrible accident. Sorry, I looked away. Terrible accident in the Goodwin cottage. While sneaking down to peek at her gifts, she toppled a box of party favors, which led to sparklers sending colorful lights flashing in every direction. Here's an idea, Kenobi one. I was trying to figure it out because my thought process comes from imagining that. How would I get to this? So let's say that the town, the town has been working together to build a lighthouse. Let's say it's a lighthouse. It's like the central like it's right at the center of town. That doesn't make any sense. It's a windmill. It's a tower. Whatever it is, they're building something. Let's say it's a windmill. You wouldn't put that at the center of town. There's something that's being built. Hold on. Okay, let's just say that there's a MacGuffin. There's some structure or there's something in the town that everybody has been contributing to, and it's been a project for years. And it's basically, it's almost like what their economy is currently based around. Like everything is about. This is all people can talk about. Is we got to be at the ribbon cutting. Like this thing's going to get done. Obviously, it would be like dedicated to in the name of the Lich. There's some, obviously they don't just call it out like for the Lich, but like that's the character. But imagine the party at some point finding, when dealing with something else or maybe dealing with like weird stuff going on politically in the town. I imagine like seeing plans, like city plans for, totally not run by a Lich, the town, whatever it's called. And they see like the center of town and they see the library, if that's what it is, or they see some structure that everybody's been contributing to. And it's like, wow, that's cool. And they peel that away and they see an older set of schematics, but this one is for like, a different sort of structure. The date is hundreds of years old. It's the town, it's Crow's Mead, but a long time ago. And they peel it back and it's another one. They peel it back and it's another one. What if what's been happening is that for whatever reason, this Lich has been trying to sort of perfect this, has been trying to sort of make this town, has been sort of trying to like build some vision, and it's over and over and over and over again. And it takes however long it takes for them to build up to a certain size, for them to, establish this town project. That wasn't it. She wipes everybody out and basically starts anew. And these are towns with like 100-year-long histories. Like nothing before that. No, I don't really know what happened before then. But to be able to like uncover that history and be like, wait, this is, the cool part about something like that is that is a mystery about the town's history, not yet about the identity of a lich, or that there even is a lich, right? So imagine that being sort of a reveal, and then the party is sitting there going like, wait a minute, this is like, it almost feels like sci-fi, right? Where it's like, wait, is this just something we keep doing and doing? Is there anybody that remembers? Like, we need to find anybody who believes us, that like, who can we show this to, right? And ultimately it's just, or not just, like ultimately for some reason, and you could say it's a, it could be something like they are a lich because it's like for the greater good. Like they have foreseen, maybe that's something peculiar about them. Like they have been cursed with foresight. Like they can see some horrible threat that's coming, and what they're trying to do is build like, a defense or build like, all that they can do is try to like change things about the town to like to keep that threat off in the distance. And in this case, becoming a lich, it's almost like, gosh, there was a I think there was an episode of Rick and Morty where Morty got like there was like a device or something that allowed him to basically see his potential futures, and he just kept going the direction that took him in the safest route, or took him toward the things that he wanted, and it ended up being all of these horrible things. So I imagine you could have someone kind of guided by something similar. Yeah, a lich, the only way that, I wouldn't say good, but like, what if a lich is like, I'm going to save all living things, and we're going to have to sacrifice a slice of those people. Like, I'm okay with a slice. It's almost like the town rejuvenating is almost like in the Matrix, when the architect's like, yeah, we always choose like, 20 people to rebuild Zion, and everybody else we get rid of, and so then we repopulate and we try again. It's like, they're not good, but they're trying to build something out of people. The one who was the villain in Guardians 3 was kind of like that. Like, I just want to make the perfect, that didn't work. Okay, destroy that whole planet. Let me go try again. Anyway, yeah, cool ideas, I think. Unbeknownst to Violet, her parents were up late investigating mysterious dark substance in their home laboratory. You've been writing a one-shot about an escort mission in which you're protecting the daughter of a ruler of a town from a dark, edgy assassin, but turns out the king was an evil lich, which has made his daughter as Phylactrum, and the guy in the assassin was the good guy all along. Nice. Hey, Fire. That's a fun idea. Better make that daughter super likable, so that the party isn't tempted to take out the lich. Yeah, can Obi-Wan, exactly. Thanos. Yep. Half of all people have to go for the rest to stay, even though it didn't really make sense, but that's okay. Unbeknownst to Violet, her parents were up late investigating mysterious to Violet's wonder at the wide-eyed wonder at the display of flashing lights was only matched by her parents' horror when the dark substance reacted, lurched toward them, and completely enveloped Cyril. In the blink of an eye, Cyril Goodwin had vanished. Charlotte believed the flashing lights had somehow tricked but hid the thought from Violet, but kept that thought from Violet so the young girl wouldn't feel responsible. A decade of work. one of your characters has a daughter. The DM plays her as an NPC. Makes sense. Decade of work. Charlotte searches while ignoring her daughter. Decade of work. Oh, the point is to kill the King Lich and find a way? That's interesting. You said that's a part of a one-shot, or is that part of like a longer adventure? Cyril's disappearance led to Charlotte becoming obsessive, researching night and day to find him again. She sent Violet off to live with her aunt and uncle, devoted herself to understanding the strange creature that sent Cyril away. She named the dark substance reflective. What's up, John? Charlotte managed to, due to the way the dark substance reflected light, she named it. The town's called Crow's Meat. It has around 10,000 people, and there's a criminal underbelly, but it's a trade town which trades fish, monster parts, and spice. Gotcha. Charlotte managed to move the reflective muck into the cellar and bricked over the entrance to keep it hidden away. Her research led to her rescuing a number of other fascinating creatures, including the staring staircase, which was somehow both a stone, a winding stone staircase, and a terrible monster at the same time. Yes, this is called the Case of the Writhing Cottage, and it features prominently, especially in kind of the third, like the back half of the one shot, features the staring staircase, the monster staircase. She trained it to prevent anyone but her from reaching the hidden cellar. Charlotte traveled wherever the reflective muck sent her, experimenting with different flames each time. Everywhere she went, she searched for Cyril. She went. Weeks turned into months, and months turned into years. 1 week ago, Violet received a hopeful letter. After barely speaking for 10 years, Violet, now 20 years old, received a strangely hopeful letter from her mother. That's the plan, yep. Violet rushed home to find her mother. Bye, Art. Bye, Art. Catch you another time. Just before the part. Okay, so that part now says, after barely speaking for 10 years, Violet, now 20 years old, received a strangely hopeful letter from her mother. It seemed that Charlotte had finally located Cyril. I think we'll all be able to be together soon, it read. Violet rushed back to her childhood, to her town and her childhood home, to find her mother already missing and the cottage completely boarded up. So, good question. Yeah, so these bricks, these are brand new supporters. These have been supporters for a couple of months. Then you get into 3 months, 4 months, 6 months plus. Like basically, the longer that people support the channel, the more the bricks start to look like real bricks. Good luck, Construct. Yeah, my D&D session is kind of maybe happening, maybe not tonight. So I'll either be on early or late. We'll see. But good luck with dinner. Violet rushed back to her hometown and her childhood home. Rushed back to her hometown, only to find her mother missing. The cottage completely boarded up. By the time the party learns of the missing Goodwin parents, using whichever plot hook you choose, Violet will have already become fed up with the town watch and set off to find her parents on her own. Just before the party arrived at the cottage and the adventure began, Violet was fighting her way past the staring staircase, wrecking the first floor, letting out a number of creatures in the process. Violet didn't hear the party when they knocked or even when they called out for her on the first floor. As the party, Violet didn't hear them knocking or calling out for her on the first floor. Oh, it's just a command. There's a couple things like that. Like, if you, like, anybody can do it. So Construct's just helping out. That's okay. Please wait. I hope you're feeling better. So, like, if you do ! Discord, it'll provide a Discord invite. It's Nightbot that does it. It's just a little service that is watching the chat and provides helpful stuff like that. Like, I think I have one for, like, one-shots, maybe. I don't remember if I did one for that or not. Yeah. Sometimes you'll see people talking a lot about soup for some reason. That command gives us an explanation. Just before the party arrived at the cottage and the adventure begins, Violet was fighting her way. As the party arrives at the cottage at the beginning of the adventure, Violet has just reached the cellar after fighting past the obedient, staring staircase, wrecking the first floor, letting out a number of creatures in the process. Violet didn't hear them knocking or calling out for her on the first floor. As the party gets a sense of the cottage and the wild creatures in it, Violet is already passing through the reflective muck to someplace even stranger. Cool. The Goodwin family is central to this adventure, but they are also missing for most of it. The party won't meet them until maybe the very end. Their backgrounds are included here, so you have a good sense of who they are, and just in case you want to use them in adventures to continue the adventure. During the introduction, the party will talk to Mr. Hobbs, the kind but clueless baker-turned-volunteer watchman who gives them the bounty on the family, assuming you choose the recommended plot hook and hooks into the adventure. Once in the house, the party will speak with Cashew, the psychic octopus that's more concerned with bringing order to the cottage than tracking down the missing family. Cyril Goodwin loves animals. Cyril is a caring and nurturing animal lover. He's a middle-aged husband and father who spent his life saving and rehabilitating rare creatures from around the world with his wife, Charlotte. They raised their daughter Violet together until his tragic disappearance on the eve of her 10th birthday. Charlotte Goodwin is a researcher. Hey, twin. Charlotte is a middle-aged wife and mother who has spent her life learning about exotic creatures with her husband Cyril. They raised their daughter Violet together until Cyril vanished after a tragic accident on the eve of Violet's 10th birthday. Since Cyril's disappearance, Charlotte has become a bit of a shut-in. She spends all of her time researching what might have happened to Cyril, letting every relationship in her life suffer, including the one with her daughter Violet. Hey, see you later. Catch you another time. Thanks for hanging out. Violet Goodwin is a curious kid. Violet was 10 years old when her father Cyril disappeared, but she never heard the full story of what happened. Her mother Charlotte became obsessed with finding him and even sent Violet away to live with her aunt and uncle while she scoured the world for him. It's the hopeful letter from her mother that brings Violet back to town, now 20 years old, only for her to realize her mother has also gone missing. Mr. Hobbs reluctantly leads the town watch. Seriously, he would rather be baking. That's his specialty and how he made a living before volunteering with the town watch. If you choose something other than the recommended hook, your party might not meet Mr. Hobbs. Mr. Hobbs volunteered for the watch when no one else would. For the most part, he's done a great job looking after the folks in this quiet little town. But regarding the mysterious disappearance of Cyril and now Charlotte Goodwin, he's stumped. But regarding the mysterious disappearance of the Goodwins, he's stumped. Mr. Hobbs has only basic information to share with the party. On the bright side, he will offer a baked good for each question the party asks him. Bonus points if you actually have cookies on hand to offer your players. For more on what Mr. Hobbs knows about the Goodwins' disappearance, see the flashback section in the introduction. Cashew is a tattletale, a telepath, and an octopus. Think of Cashew as the self-appointed hall monitor of the cottage critters. Fire, what do you, I don't know, what do you do? You do what you want to do. They are mostly concerned with maintaining order in the house and consider any questions about the Goodwin family to be private family secrets. Any questions about the Goodwin family to be private. Sorry to hear that, Fire. They're mostly concerned with maintaining order in the house and consider any questions about the Goodwin family to be prying into private family secrets. Once the party discovers something for themselves, though, Cashew might be more inclined to gossip. For more on what Cashew knows and can share with the party, see Observant Octopus in Part 2. Sweet. The party will face 6 loose creatures in the first part of this adventure and another 2 hidden creatures once they track them down in the cottage. Each of the creatures in the cottage were found and rehabilitated by Charlotte, during her, and how about we say, and mostly rehabilitated by Charlotte during her research work the last 10 years. Admittedly, Cyril is always better getting new creatures under control. Understanding these creatures will be the key to figuring out what ultimately happened to each member of the group. This unusual little octopus speaks by transmitting electrical signals from its tentacles into anyone it touches. It deals 1 HP of lightning damage each time. As you might imagine, small talk with the Toctopus can be a painful thing. It's unclear whether this is a new type of cephalopod or a smaller creature inhabiting its body. Whatever it is, be ready to heal yourself up before sitting down for a long chat with it. The Toctopus was collected somewhere along the coastline. One of its tentacles is tagged with an ID that reads number 2, written in blue ink. Got a stat block. Captured feral echo looks like a storm in a bottle, except instead of lightning and thunder, swirling clouds flash from one vicious animal image of another to another. Eyes, claws, fur, tail, ears, teeth. If let out of its bottle, or if it escapes from the miles of glass the spectral feral echo will expand to fill it if let out of its bottle, or if it escapes from the miles of glass tubing running through the cottage that act as its habitat. The spectral feral echo will expand to fill the space and lash out like an angry spirit of the forest. Is it really a spirit? It could be a ghost. Charlotte's not sure. All she knows is that if you're careful and quiet right when a druid drops their animal form, this feral echo was collected. Hold on. Is it really a spirit? It could be a ghost. Charlotte's not sure, but she has a working theory that if you're careful and quiet right when a druid drops their animal form, you can catch one of these creatures in a bottle. This feral echo was collected in a forest near the cottage. The pipes normally containing the creature have a label that reads number 1 in yellow ink. Number of empty glass jars on the shelf are labeled the same way. This creature is often mistaken for an elemental because it masks itself as either a rock if it's calm, or an element like fire, lightning, or water if it's under some sort of stress. Masks itself as either a rock if it's calm, or an element like fire, lightning, or water if it's under some type of stress. Emoji is one of a new classification of creatures Charlotte Goodwin has discovered, called minor sentimentals. What if Emoji is one of a new classification of creatures Charlotte Goodwin has discovered called minor sentimentals. They are often mistaken for elementals, except to the keen observer, who notices they change their form based on their emotional state. The emoji's unpredictable and varied appearances have made it so no one is really sure what the creature actually is. Due to its unpredictable appearance, the change is based on... Okay, I did rewrite this. Due to its unpredictable appearance, no one's really sure what the show is talking about. This minor sentimental creature was found somewhere in the mountains. Where did I write? Okay, I'm gonna keep on rolling. See you, twin. Oh, really, John? That's cool. Yeah, Alan Wake was a lot of fun. I can definitely see digging more into related games potentially this weekend. We'll see. Thank you. All right. A pilfer is a gangly armed puffball with a propensity for picking pockets and stashing away shiny trinkets. While a pilfer may occasionally use its long-fingered hands to smack a target, it's typically only as a means to distract them while picking their pockets. As a means to distract their target from their pilfer may occasionally when it's distract. Pilfer is a gangly armed puffball with a propensity for picking pockets and stashing away shiny trinkets. While a pilfer may occasionally use its long-fingered hands to smack a target, it's usually only to distract. It's only as a means to distract them. So the pilfer can steal, can for picking pockets and stashing. It's usually only to distract. While a pilfer may occasionally use its long-fingered hands to smack a target, it's usually only as a distraction to make their thievery a little easier. Nobody knows exactly where pilfers originally came from. Maybe they were conjured out of clay. Charlotte isn't sure exactly where pilfers originally came from. Maybe they were conjured out of clay and buttons, or captured from their natural habitat deep in the Feywild. Nowadays, they seem only found. Nowadays. They are usually found serving at the feet of careful wizards or scavenging in the ruins left behind by the reckless ones. Pilfers and other scurriers have spent so much time around magic they have a very high tolerance for it. Some have even become immune to certain types of magic entirely. Some have become immune to certain kinds of magic. Some have become immune. Some even become immune to certain types of magic. This pilfer was found in a castle, stolen away out from under a distracted wizard. Its ID tag reads number 4, written in red ink. Good question, John. I think that I probably have the most. I was most. I mean, Outer Wilds is the first one that comes to mind. Probably just because of how much it represents what the play loop that I like to try to create at the table about, finding ruins or abandoned areas and trying to make sense of what happened before. Learning of characters that aren't there anymore, or picking up the pieces of some failed experiment. That was inspiring, and gave me a lot of ideas. I mean, I hope to be. At this point, I'll never catch up because I've played actually a bunch of games now, and it'll take some time. But like, I have one or two like encounter ideas, at least from every game that I've played so far. Like, I'd like to be able to put out a series, basically saying like, okay, I won't spoil the ones from Alan Wake, but like, definitely there's one from Portal that comes to mind. The way that turrets are introduced, I think, would be really fun to model. Introducing a threatening monster the same way, because it's just such a great little sequence. Based on Stray, I'd really like to try to make a set of encounters around having basically like super limited communication with some creatures. I think that'd be interesting too. I mean, and honestly, Alan Wake was, without spoiling anything, like probably the most ambitious story outside of Outer Wilds. Like, ambitious in a different way. So that's also pretty inspiring. Like, it's crazy that they even like made something out of that. Yeah, it's very good. So I've been working on this one shot. I've been writing it and revising it. Kind of in the final, I think, steps of that, sort of revising and kind of going back, rereading stuff, making sure that I have as much of it in place as I can before I move to like page layout, because this is something I'm going to release as a PDF, and I'll probably do some printings and stuff too. But size, large, type, question mark, age, question mark, danger high. Reflective muck is a dark ooze-like substance that seems mundane until it's exposed to light. Its precise nature is still unknown. But it does seem to maintain a connection of sorts. But it does seem to act as a portal to locations all over the world. By shining the right light on it, a location is revealed on its surface. A yellow flame shows a forest, a red flame a castle, and a blue flame shows a coastline. And 10 years ago, a burst of multicolor light sent Cyril Goodwin off to someplace unknown. Charlotte has traveled through the muck dozens of times and mapped many of its locations, but she's never found a way to make the return trip. The reflective muck was discovered deep in a cave during Cyril and Charlotte's last expedition together. It's currently hidden away in the Goodwin's cellar. It doesn't have an ID tag, though there is a large number 0 on the wall written in a dark purple paint. Siphon beetles. One of these beetles could just barely fit in your closed fist, but they act together as a poisonous swarm. Siphon beetles often overwhelm targets due to their ability to regenerate when cut in half, sometimes doubling their number when they take damage. In other words, attack the swarm only gets larger. Luckily, the regenerated bodies die quickly. If left alone, the swarm will shrink in size within a few minutes. The Goodwins discovered that siphon beetles are drawn to and often consume entirely precious gemstones. This particular swarm was lured into a trunk and captured using a large ruby. So why keep creatures like this around? The Goodwins' research suggests that when siphon beetles die off... Charlotte Goodwin discovered that... So why keep creatures... Charlotte's research suggests that when siphon beetles die off, and especially when they are fed a precious gemstone or two, when they are fed precious gemstones, they draw poison and disease away. When used carefully, siphon beetles can actually heal a bit more than they hurt. This particular swarm was found somewhere in the desert. This particular swarm was found near a... near an evacuated campsite in the desert. The trunk has a large number 6 written in orange paint on the lid. At a glance, the Slither 2 looks like nothing more than a very fast snake, but careful observers will notice the snake isn't fast. We'll notice it's not the snake, it's fast, but its effect on the area around it means that every creature close by is slowed to a near stop. In fact, anyone that even hears the creature's hiss may find themselves struck completely still. Uniquely, it seems the sound waves created by the creature are what create seems the sound waves created by the creature make a sort of physical bubble of slowed time around the Slither 2. Even with earplugs in, this can make catching the creature particularly tricky. Luckily, the sound and the effect of the sound waves is hampered by water. Keeping this creature happy and submerged underwater is the easiest way to keep its slowing effect under control. This creature was found somewhere deep in the wetlands, wrapped around its tail. All right. Steering staircase acts as a sort of guard dog for the Goodwin family. It doesn't speak or even reveal itself, but it has been instructed to keep the cellar hidden away from anyone but Charlotte Goodwin. Thus, the stairs seem to only go up. Because he's the most formidable creature in the cottage on top of its sharp teeth. Well, this will be my first one shot that I release, so it'll be on my website. I'll basically be putting it everywhere, but yeah, this will be my first. Standing circus is easily the most formidable creature in the cottage. It has far-reaching tentacles, sharp teeth, and a long tongue that can. Tentacles. What kind of tentacles? Strong tentacles, sharp teeth, and a long tongue that can stretch across the length. You're prepping Dragon of Icespire Peak. I ran, that was the first thing I ever ran. That's the Essentials kit, right? I ran that for my wife as a solo game, using the sidekick rules in the Essentials kit. Ran that for a year. That's how I learned. That's how we both learned D&D. That's the one that I made all of my initial mistakes with. Strong tentacle, sharp teeth, long tongue, stretch across the length of the cottage. Definitely. But that's only once. Oof. So much writing and rewriting, but good stuff. How is that possible? 6. Okay. A lot added, a lot rewritten, a lot removed. Good stuff. Yeah, that'd be great, John. If you, yeah, definitely always curious to hear what you think, especially about the game streams, because those are relatively new, so still getting the hang of those. But you have a good one. I'm about to head out as well, actually. All of those edits just end up with about 50 more net new words in here, which is great. I'm not looking to increase the size, really. Awesome. Thanks, John. All right. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Just some super exciting one-shot rewriting. I'll drop in my stream schedule link and another link to the Discord just in case anybody lurking wants to join that. You're welcome to. I may or may not be running D&D tonight. The group is still figuring that out, so I'll either be on early or late, depending on how that goes. It'll be crafting. I've made so much good progress on this cottage, which is at least now bigger than my head. I've been putting on the shingles and working on the roof, which is going to also be playable, which should be fun. So that's what I'll be working on tonight at some point. Thanks, Jade. And yeah, that'll do it. Catch you guys in a little bit.